Okay, so you finished writing your book and you've maybe even sent it in to traditional publishers, but it's not getting approved. So what other options do you have? Well, you can do self-publishing, which is of course what I recommend, or you can go with a hybrid publishing company. And the reason you might want to go with a hybrid company is because you don't have to learn as many of the steps. They've got all of the services in-house, and there's a number of things, but there are some red flags you're going to need to look out for if you choose to go the hybrid publishing company route. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. Also, check out below in the description to grab a copy of my absolutely free self-publishing secrets checklist so you can learn the steps of doing it yourself. So let's get right on into it. So the first thing is that there are a huge difference when you're looking at a huge number of differences when you're looking at between the difference between self-publishing and the hybrid publishing. One of the things with self-publishing is all the costs are very easy to see. So when you're going to get a cover and these sorts of things, you're going to be able to look and you'll see exactly what the costs are. If you're going to want to do editing services, the downside is you're going to have to figure out how to do it yourself. But with hybrid publishing, it can be buried. You'll have sort of a basic package that you'll be offered, and then at that point, there will be all sorts of upsells and other things along those lines where the amount of money that you thought it was going to cost, it starts to increase. And so this where the challenge is if they're not very transparent with all of these costs. So they'd say, okay, you can get a package for a couple $1,000 where we'll publish your book, and they sometimes will even make it pretend like you were accepted or something like that with that particular book that you're thinking of putting out, when in reality they virtually accept everyone, or maybe they tell you need to do some editing or something and then they accept it. But in reality, percentage-wise, they're just accepting everybody who sends a book to them and then making you feel like, well, it's sort of like a traditional publisher. So that's one of the challenges you're going to need to look out for. And then as you're going through the process, it keeps costing more money because they're going to need additional money if you want the extra special editing, which, of course, it's so important with editing. Or we'll have the base cover, but if you want the premium covers, well, then you're going to have to pay a lot more for that. And so it's not very transparent upon the total cost. And when you're already halfway done with your book with them, and you keep on getting dinged with these additional costs that were not part of the process, that makes it very painful for an author. You really thought you would get the whole deal through and you just paid us a flat fee, and then it ends up costing you a lot more money, and they weren't really upfront telling you. Most of the authors who go with us end up spending twice as much money as they initially thought they were going to be spending for this process. The second thing we're going to look at, it's the false promises. What exactly do you think happens to your book after it's been released? Well, you're going to need reviews, you're going to need paid ads, you're going to need to do content marketing on it, all of these things. Well, fortunately for you, hybrid publishers also will offer these services. You just have to pay thousands of dollars and they will post your book's link on different websites and things like that, where they're not necessarily causing an increase in the sales, but they'll say, look, I see your book's not selling. And that's where the promise part comes in. Because especially if you read the sales page, and on the sales page for the hybrid company, they have all these success stories. So you start to get the idea that if I just put my book onto the market, it's going to find an audience without being marketed. And that just simply isn't true. And if they weren't honest about the costs in the first place that you were going to have to pay, then we've got another major problem, because now you're spending a lot more money than you originally thought. Maybe it might have been easier if you had just stuck with self-publishing and learned the process, like in that checklist I was mentioning before. Just going through the steps, working with a coach or someone who can take you through exactly the steps necessary to succeed with self-publishing in an easy way, as opposed to this other alternative route, which is the hybrid publishing route, which I do believe that it is perfect for people if you don't have any technical ability and don't have time. Then the hybrid publishing route may in fact be one of your best options. And the third point is the big filter question. This is the big red flag that I see across the board on a regular basis. This is the one that I tell anybody who's considering any of these companies. And you'll notice I say absolutely nothing negative about specific companies, because they have large budgets, and for some reason there aren't any websites that say anything negative about any of these companies, and I do not contribute by saying anything negative about any of them either. So I'm just giving you the tools so that you can research it and see which ones are right for you. But the third point, and this is probably the most important point of all of the ones I've hit so far, it's a question of where are their customers? So if you have this hybrid company, you would imagine there would be a lot of authors who have gone through with them and have published their books with those authors, if that makes sense. And so where are those authors? You should be able to get in touch with them, right? And after all, they've probably, since they were so satisfied with the costs and the results on that first book, you would imagine they would go with their second and third books, right? Well, where exactly are those people? And this was something I found to be the biggest litmus test when you're trying to figure out whether or not you should go with one of these companies, is Google them and see where the forum of those authors, those previous customers and clients that they've had in the past, where exactly are they? These people who are, well, they're very satisfied. When we read about them on the sales page with all these glowing testimonials, where are these people who can say, you know what, I went through with it and the price was great and affordable and I ended up getting my book to sell and I'm very happy, and then I went back for a second book. And that's the issue. We want to see if we can talk with clients or customers of them, authors, other authors who have done 2 books and are still happy with the results. I can tell you, I've spoken with many of my clients who work with me. They gave up on the hybrid side, but they tried it, and then their book is stuck in limbo. And a lot of the other things where who owns the rights to the book, how do they get it out of Amazon? They don't want to be entwined where they're just leaking money on a regular basis to these companies. And so this is something that they really needed to focus on to make sure that, that they decided they wanted to go the other route. And I said, look, this could be just painful, years and years to try to get your book back. You own the rights to it, but it's under their profile on their Amazon KDP account, which makes a bit of a problem. But the problem they have is that I have met customers and clients of theirs who are in the middle of the process and have felt that it's so great, it's wonderful. They're taking me step by step through it, so it's wonderful with this hybrid publishing process. But then where's the catch? Well, the catch is they haven't been upsold to yet. Okay, the upselling starts once we start getting those covers and the finishing points, and then suddenly, well, would you rather just pay a little more and you get this bump, and $100 here and you get this one, pay $1,000 for the marketing package and all of these? And I have people come to me and say, should I pay this $1,000? Should I pay this $2,000 for their marketing package? And my question is, where are their customers who can say, I paid $1,000 and I earned $3,000 or $5,000, or at least got all these customers on my email list? These are the sorts of questions that we want to know when we're going with one of these companies. Where are their customers? They should have lots. You should be able to find a forum where you'd be able to find them. Maybe they have videos. Here's another one. Maybe they have videos on YouTube or other places where you can look at people leaving comments who are happy. I can tell you for many of them, the people who are leaving comments are furious with a lot of these companies, okay? Like really, really angry with what these companies have done with their books. They had such high ideas of what was going to happen, and then it simply wasn't the case. So if they were on YouTube in these places and had comments below, you could see whether people are happy or whether they're getting screwed by these specific companies. But they are very clever at getting rid of any sites that are negative about them, and for some reason nobody seems to have done 2 books with them. That's one of the other things. And now I know maybe you're somebody who has done more than 1 book with a hybrid publishing company, and as I said, I don't mention the names of any of these companies. I never ever mention the names. I have no intention of getting sued, so I just keep that out of it. But I would say go find the forums, and I keep asking many people, even on YouTube and other locations, can you please send me a link so I can see where all these happy authors are? And the problem, of course, is that there aren't a ton of happy authors. That you have all these authors, they went through the process, they were upsold to, the quality of the end result was not as high as they wanted if they had self-published, like we do in our Jutoh, the formatting course below in the description. Then we go through exactly how to do that, so it comes out exactly looking like you imagine, not some lower quality version of it. And then the second thing, it's that they get to this point and they pay money for the marketing and they're not making any money back. Their book, it's like crickets. Nobody's purchasing their book. Now, I can tell you, I can't guarantee your book will sell either, but I'm at least honest about it. I'm not telling you that just because you wrote an amazing book and you throw it on the market, that the market itself is going to buy, because you're going to have to do marketing in order to do that and get that book to sell. And that's one of the big challenges of self-publishing or hybrid publishing or even traditional publishing. There has to be a level of marketing. It's a skill set. You're going to need to learn it. Or you could also pay thousands of dollars to these people and then see if they manage to deliver a result. But before you do any of this transfer of money to them, just make sure that you actually see if you can find one customer who's at least done 2 books and is still happy with them. If you can find that person, well then maybe the company's okay. Ideally, you'd have a group of them, because I would assume there's lots of customers coming through and you should be able to find them. And so this is just an important point that you should do whenever you're getting ready to put a lot of money down on the table. You should do that, unless there's some way they can give you little bite-sized values so they're able to prove themselves. And that's one of the reasons, even down below in the description, I do discovery sessions. So where we're able, just for free, we can just take a look at your situation. I can tell you which offers perhaps would best meet your needs, and just gives the ability to sort of have an idea what it's like to work with me one-on-one or in a group coaching session. So my question for you today is, have you ever tried a hybrid publishing company? And if so, please let me know below in the description that you have and what your experience was. Did you consider going back and doing a second book? And how many of you all were happy with the results? Just leave the comments below in the description, in the comments, and I will respond back to every single comment. Thanks, and check up above me here for more videos, answers to your self-publishing questions. Thanks.